to the Porcupine Zone. I am Zwat, your host for this source of unfiltered, controversial topics from a libertarian perspective. Today we are talking about the attempted assassination of Trump at the White House Correspondents' Dinner Saturday evening. Sorry if I look like I just woke up, because truth be told, I did. I took an unexpected nap, and that's the reason why I'm late. Um, I am not doing what I did last Friday though, where I went a little bit past the end time. We're still ending the stream at 11. Maybe. If we end early, we end early because I'm not really feeling well today. But hey, I promised you guys I was going to stream today, and that's what we're going to be doing. Um, so let's just jump right into things. Quick facts. The Washington Hilton is the hotel it happened. And Cole Thomas Allen was the man who attempted the assassination. You've probably seen images online of him, like the thumbnail for the stream. It's like him lying there like that. He also he's getting a massage. Like that's one of my favorite things about that. But he breached the dinner with guns and knives. Fortunately, no one was injured, severely injured. Someone was hit in their bulletproof vest, I think, and there's another injury. I think the perpetrator was the second guy injured, but other than that, I don't think anyone else was hurt, which is really good. Really lucky that transpired. Not obviously not the event, but no injuries and certainly no deaths too. That's definitely awesome. So the Secret Service took him down, and that's where you saw those images from. You probably saw a video of Trump getting escorted out too, along the other members of his cabinet. It was a very big event, and it's really scary that this has become like the norm now. And I generally don't really have any words to describe how I'm feeling right now because I'm feeling a whole bunch of emotions about this. My biggest thing that I'm surprised about is that I am not surprised this happened. I kind of expected something like this to be happening because people really dislike Trump right now. And there's a lot of wackos out there. A lot of people who say that they want him dead, that they wish him harm, that they wish harm on everyone else. And obviously, we've had this happen in the past. Um, Luckily, this time he was not hurt. Luckily, this time no one was killed. Because other times, people have been hurt and people have been killed. Butler, 2024, and his golf course, also in 2024. Two separate attempts in 2024 during the election. Obviously, the most famous one is the ear, the fight, fight, fight. That's the one that got me pumped. That's obviously always gonna go down in history books as like probably the most badass moment in American history. One of the most badass. Um, but this one doesn't really have any, fight, fight, fight things. It's just more of a, okay, sir, let's get you out of here because there's a wacko shooting in the lobby. I don't really know where I was going with that. But political violence obviously is never okay, no matter what. This is a violation of what I call, and what other people call, the non-aggression principle. So I discussed in our video. Basically, cyberbullying is okay. Cyberbully politicians all you want. Cyberbully your local politicians, especially the ones in DC, though. But trying to kill them, trying to harm them, that's when you cross a line, and that's where the argument automatically ends for you. You've lost. You've lost big time. It makes you an idiot, it makes you a jerk, and it makes you an asshole that you are resorting to those means. The NAP must never be violated. One of the main principles of libertarianism. Do not tread on us, and we won't tread on you. But you're not a true libertarian trying to hurt other people. Alright? You use your quills in self defense. You never use your quills to hurt someone intentionally. I don't care if they hurt your feelings in a post or something like that. You don't bring this to the physical world. It's like the number one lesson of the internet. You never do that. So yeah, if you escalate things, you are automatically disqualified from the argument. Any morality is forever crushed. This obviously is the third time that the government has failed to protect Trump. So it begs the question: why do we trust the government with our safety? They say they care about our safety, but they can't even protect the president. They can't even guarantee his safety. So why can they guarantee the safety of the American people? Why are they up there in DC, talking about passing bills to put things in your cars, to stop gun aggression? That's what I'm going to be talking about as well. And they can't even protect the president during a press conference, basically. He's eating dinner with other people who are in the press. They can't even protect him during an event like that. They can't protect him during rallies. They can't protect him at his golf course. They can't protect him at the White House now. Not the White House. Sorry, the Washington Hilton. So, why do we trust the government with our safety? It's really stupid, and it also makes me think of the Patriot Act, how they created the Homeland Security Department, how they put those, how they made monitoring U.S. citizens okay, how they justified it by saying they're going to be fighting terrorism. It just really calls that into question now, because we're having events like this happen. They can't even guarantee the safety of their own. So why can't they guarantee the safety of us? Just think about that. Also, fun fact, the Washington Hilton is the site of the 1981 attempted assassination of Ronald Reagan. I was pretty surprised to find that as well. Like, I like doing research and stuff like that. So yeah, finding out that that was the place where Reagan was also shot was pretty cool. I mean, not really cool because it was still awful, but yeah, there's like the curse thing. People talk about like there's like a presidential curse. Apparently, Reagan was the one who broke it or something like that. Maybe I can go to that like in a future video. Actually, no, I'll talk about it now. I think it's something like this. Like a president is elected every 20 years. Like 1960 was Abraham Lincoln. He was shot on in April 1865. Then you had who was it? McKinley or something like that. I gotta remember my presidents. Is either McKinley or Garfield. It was in like 1880, and then he was like shot too. Then 1900, obviously, and yeah, I lost my train of thought. Let's just move on. So the second thing we're gonna go over tonight is obviously Virginia. You can tell I look very tired. You can tell I sound very tired. I promise you, I'm not drunk. I'm not high. I am just very tired. I mean it when I say it. I literally did just wake up. And I was seriously contemplating just not doing the stream because I kind of feared that this is going to be happening. But I don't want to just give up for no reason. Even though we had like one visitor tonight so far. I'm not the person who usually gives up like that. But anyway, yeah. Second issue we're going over tonight is Virginia. There's been a lot of stuff going on with them, so we're just gonna unpack this one issue at a time. So just stay with me. So Virginia Democrats passed some bills banning the sale, manufacturing, and importation of assault firearms, which is also containing around 15 rounds of ammunition, starting in July of this year. So Governor Spanberger, I call her Burger, the Burger governor, she signed them into effect. So obviously, I don't think I need to talk about like why this is very intrusive, very unconstitutional. There have been states I think who have done this in the past. Even the federal government tried to do this in like the 1990s. It either expired or I think there's a lot of public backlash against it that caused them to revoke it. Something like that happened. I know Joe Biden was a sponsor of it, but these types of things never go over well, especially when you can take into consideration that Virginia was one of the 13 colonies. We were one of the colonies who revolted. We literally stole firearms. We stockpiled them, stashed them, and we used them against the crown. So the Constitution, obviously, Second Amendment, the right to keep and bear arms, must never be, you know, must never be trampled on. It's never be treaded upon. Don't tread on me. Don't tread on me. Must not be infringed. And now we're having this. The Second Amendment has been breached by Virginia. I think people knew this was going to be happening. I mean, obviously, the Democrats, they are not very vocal supporters of the Second Amendment. They claim they're doing this because of gun control, because we can't be trusted with guns, but the issue's been brought up about like mental health awareness, how you need to do background checks for these types of things. Like it should be obvious. You could tell that someone's mentally unwell before you give them a gun. You can usually tell these sorts of things. Like if someone's depressed, they're gonna be using the gun against themselves. You can tell if they're depressed usually if you do a background check. So you can stop the sale of guns to these people. So why are you trying to prevent the entire population from getting guns? I can tell you what this is going to be doing. I won't be surprised if there's violence originating from this. Actions have consequences. I've heard of the butterfly effect. So basically, if a butterfly flaps its wings in a particular way, that the motion from its wings it'll help contribute to a big giant storm, like a hurricane or something like that, that eventually impacts a town or a city or a state or country, stuff like that, somewhere in the world. This is going to be a classic example of the butterfly effect. Something as stupid and small as this bill is probably going to lead to the resignation of a lot of people, probably even the governor herself. I won't be surprised if the Supreme Court of the United States strikes this down. It's right being challenged in court around around the country. So the bill itself, one's I think part of the state house, another one's part of the state senate, but it's kind of vague when it describes an assault weapon, and it really doesn't mean semi-automatic. Assault weapon is obviously very vague. This obviously, we all know this doesn't stop criminals. It only disarms law-abiding citizens. Like they're trying to take our clothes away, to protect themselves from being poked. They're scared of us. They're scared of a well-armed militia. The right to keep and bear arms, like I said, must not be infringed. And the reason why they will infringe upon it is because they're scared of a population that will defend themselves against an authoritarian government. This is what happens. You've seen it in Canada. You've seen it in Britain. Britain's trying to ban knives now. They banned guns long ago. Or it's like they made it really hard to get a gun. They're having mass stabbings over there. It's called suicidal empathy. You claim you know what you're doing, and you're trying to take the right to self defense away from people. But you're only just making things worse for yourself. Canada banned guns, and look how kind of authoritarian it is over there as well. They had a big truck protest there, kind of at the beginning of COVID, and then Prime Minister Trudeau, he like revoked the licenses for a bunch of people because they protested. They took part in this rally. They called him like a bunch of names. Probably hurt his little feelings. They could probably call him, I think, like the son of Fidel Castro, something like that. They already like they claimed he's related to them or something, which makes sense because he was quite authoritarian. He's out now, obviously, but I think new guy Mark Carney or something like that. He's not any better because he's also like what is it, liberal, labor, something like that. It's one of those parties. So and again, it brings into question they can't guarantee the safety of the President of the United States. Why are they trying to take away your rights to self defense? Obviously, it's just Virginia who's doing this now. But who's to stop, like, say, Massachusetts or California or I'm trying to think of our liberal states, Colorado? Would stop them from doing the same. And this is Virginia, too. I can guarantee you this is just the blue cities forcing their judgment, forcing their policies over the rest of the state. And that's what's wrong with the voting stuff. I'm going to begin to soon. The redistricting. I think Virginia's a relatively red state. Because obviously when you think of Virginia, you think of like the gun-toting, hillbillies, or like, don't you dread on me, mister. Yeah, you're in MAGA country now. Like, that's what I think of when I hear Virginia. Obviously, they're right next to West Virginia. That probably suits more. But you have to be more civilized in this. You have to seriously think about, like, the ramifications for your actions. Think before you do. Think before you say. They're over here justifying gun control, when in reality, it's just going to kill their chances at getting reelected. That's usually all what politicians care about, is getting reelected. Well, you can kiss reelection goodbye for taking away the rights of your own voters. Obviously, Republicans won't vote for Democrats. Democrats won't vote for Republicans. It's the way the two-party system goes now. But outside of the blue cities like Richmond, there's a lot of red area, I can guarantee you. I think Virginia's like one of the states that voted for, I can't remember if they voted for Trump, but if you went by district, I can pretty much guarantee you outside of these, people voted for Trump. Because there's a big red wave of people, because they're very displeased with how Biden's doing. Trump is obviously not much better. He's basically right now the Republican version of Joe Biden. But he is better than Biden was. At least Trump isn't, falling downstairs. He isn't shaking a hand at ghosts. I brought this up the last episode. At least we have a competent president now. And it does feel pretty good to have that. After 4 years of embarrassment. There are 4 years of tyrannical policies. And people are obviously bringing up the issues of ICE. They're bringing up the Epstein files. They're bringing up, what was it? How Trump's like trying to impede on like different state elections, different local elections. Obviously, he's trying to unseat Thomas Massey right now. Massey's one of the guys I defend. That's the reason why I'm mostly against Trump right now. Massey's like one of the only good guys in Congress. And Trump's trying to get rid of him. I very much disapprove of that. But second topic for tonight, the last topic for the agenda is the Virginia redistricting effort. Again, what the hell are you guys? What are you guys trying to do here? So, voters narrowly approved a constitutional amendment on April 21st, allowing the Democrat controlled legislature to redraw congressional districts to favor Democrats in the midterms. So, I think the Supreme Court's now challenging this or something like that. It's also, again, challenging courts to. I think a judge recently found it illegal. So, we're going to see how this goes. We're just see how the rest of the week goes with this case. But we're no strangers to this. We're no strangers to redistricting. Texas tried it back in 2024, I think, 2025, something like that. Uh, they tried something similar to favored Republicans, and it's back and forth. It has to stop between these parties. It only hurts the people, and let's be honest here, it doesn't really help the politicians either. Because if it tries to favor the Republicans, well, the people who it's trying to redistrict, what if they just vote against a party that does this? You're just creating a blue wave or a red wave. This thing that Virginia is trying to do is probably going to create a red wave. There's going to be a lot of pissed off voters right now in Virginia. And another thing, I forgot to mention this too. People are not going to give up their guns. Virginia is one of those states, I think, who won't give up their guns. There's be farmers and stuff like that. People enjoy having assault weapons. It's one of the rights we have as American citizens. It's deep within our culture. It's always been in our culture. And to be honest, before all of this stuff, you used to be able to bring a rifle to school. Kids brought hunting rifles in their trucks all the time to school. Before Columbine, before people started losing their marbles. And part of you has to think, like, this seems fishy. Like, how this is all of a sudden mass shootings and all these unfortunate tragedies are all of a sudden everywhere. It's like you can't go a day without hearing about some tragedy involving guns. Is this somewhat manufactured? Is society manufacturing this? The answer is yes. Here's what I think. I'm thinking sites like Reddit and Twitter and Blue Sky, they're radicalizing people. And no one's taking any initiative against Reddit or encouraging this behavior. I go on Reddit almost every day, and I can log in, see the communism memes thing, and I can just see people advocating for absolute totalitarianism. I butchered that. But they're advocating for Joseph Stalin. They're advocating for Mao Zedong. They're advocating for the Kim family, for Pol Pot, Fidel Castro. They're advocating for some of the worst humans to ever live on this planet. They're calling them heroes. They're calling them, like, gods almost. They're calling them very good leaders. These people had millions of people butchered, killed with their own policies. Mao starved, like, wasn't it 60 million of his own people? Stalin killed like 20 million of his own people because he was paranoid. Mao called it like a patriotic sacrifice or something like that. Castro had a bunch of his own revolutionaries killed because they were challenging his rule. They were criticizing him. They're calling him out. Pol Pot killed a good percentage of the Cambodian people. He just genocided his own people because they wouldn't conform to what he wanted. And everyone knows what a complete disaster North Korea is right now. They call it the cult. It's the little rocket man. He's starving his own people because a starving populace is unfortunately easy to control. That's what communism delivers you. And socialism isn't much better. I say socialism is basically communism, but you're allowed the illusion of democracy. You're allowed the illusion that you have some civil rights. You're not. You're basically taxed beyond reason. The government has much more influence and sway over you. Even in countries like Sweden and stuff like that, representing yourself, like trying to position yourself, having like a public demonstration for something that you view as your own ideology, speaking out usually gets you put into prison. It usually gets you a jail sentence. Democracy doesn't really go well with socialism, and it definitely does not go well with communism. Because in communism, you see all these one party states. All these communist states only have one party. It's all controlled by the state, it's all controlled by the party. Read 1984. George Orwell describes this beautifully. Because Orwell was actually, I think, inspired by the Soviet Union. Because I think Joseph Stalin was then in power. So that's how he was encouraged to write about, a totalitarian state, about Big Brother, about Oceania, and how the state is everywhere. You have the TV screen, but it's just like a one-way mirror for the government to watch into what you're doing. And you can't even be allowed to write in your journal, in your diary. Everything is controlled. Everything is controlled by the state. And everywhere you look, Big Brother's watching you. That's what Orwell's warning is about. Sure, it's not called Big Brother, but all this surveillance, all of this government interference, it's contributing to a 1984-esque society. And that's what's scary. It's because we were warned about this, and we're still allowing it to happen. Like, if the founding fathers read 1984, they'd be horrified. And then they look at modern day America, they look at Russia or China, they would be scared at how similar things are getting. Even the UK right now. The UK is like where the book is based. It's scary how realistic 1984 seems compared to modern day UK. Right now in the UK, if you post something against the government, they will prioritize putting you into prison than an immigrant coming into their country. And it's fact. They've admitted that. They've admitted that they are prioritizing putting their citizens in jail for making anti-government memes. So I think I'm gonna be blacklisted going to the UK as well, like making these live streams, making these podcasts. The government of the UK is very scary, and I feel very deeply for those people because I have two friends in the UK, and I'm very scared. I'm very worried for them because they don't deserve this at all. They're wonderful people, but their government prioritizes its own safety, its own security over its citizens' public needs, over its citizens, civil rights. Civil rights should be a universal thing. Should never be controversial. To say what you want to say, to think what you want to think, and to do what you want to do. There's a fine line between libertarianism and anarchy. And that's what people usually just screw up between those two ideologies. Libertarianism, you can still have a government telling you what to do, but it's more of like suggestions, more of advice than, you need to do this. Anarchy is a complete abolishment of all of that. Crime in the streets everywhere. No police, none of that stuff. Just pure anarchy. It's what you think of, like riots in the streets, cars are on fire, everything is on fire, and it's like that dog sitting in a chair, but fire all around him. He's like, this is nice. Libertarianism doesn't advocate for that, but we advocate for less government control. Just enough so that you can live your life in peace without other people telling you what to do. Isn't that nice? That's why a lot of teenagers, like turning 18, because that means their parents can finally stop telling them what to do with their life. They can finally be free to break free from those shackles the government has over your life. That's what libertarianism is. And like I said, this whole back and forth between Republicans and Democrats, it's all the same thing. They're all the same thing. Ever heard of the uniparty theory? It's not theory, really, it's reality. The Democrats and Republicans, they all vote basically the same way. When it comes to draconian measures, they vote the same way. Obviously, Democrats aren't voting for funding ICE right now, and I'll admit ICE has gone far enough right now. Chrissy Nolan was probably best to resign or get fired. But Democrats, they'll speak of, they'll defend your democracy, they'll defend your civil rights. We care, they say we'll care about that. But when they're in power, abide by Constitution. We don't want to play it through anymore. We don't want to play it to civil rights anymore. And it's the same thing as Republicans. They'll fight for you. They'll say they'll fight for you, but they won't. When it comes time for their turn in power, they'll throw that all away too. And they call it policy. Democrats throw it all away in the name of equal rights, but they'll put down one group. Democrats, remember? They are the ones behind the South. They are the ones behind the Confederacy. The Confederacy seceded to protect slavery. They were all Democrats. The Democrats formed the KKK too. They did. They supported all those groups. They voted against the Civil Rights Bill. That's not just conspiracy theory. That's not far right talk. That's reality. That's history. That's what happened. That's how they've always been. The Republicans are formed for the abolition of slavery. And I used to be a Republican too. I'm saying this as a former Republican. I'm obviously no longer affiliated with any party. But that's what the party is formed on. Abraham Lincoln, I talked about him in the last episode. But to give him some credit, he is the first Republican president. And he fought to abolish slavery, as we all know. That's why he is famous. The Democrats in Congress, the Democrats in the South, they didn't like that. They viewed his victory as grounds to break away. And we all know where that went. You can see comparisons, similarities to when Trump was elected president in 2024. The Democrats are threatening a civil war. They're threatening violence. They're saying that civil rights are going to be eroded. Were they not already eroded? Already? Was Joe Biden not doing anything similar? He is saying that he want to take away your guns. He was saying that if you're a Trump supporter, you're a Nazi. He is saying that if you're a Trump supporter, you're a fascist. You're a far-right extremist. He said all of those things. Obviously, Trump's calling Democrats like traitors now. I don't condone, calling anybody anything like that, because that's politically, that's what politicians do. They use that language, but it only radicalizes people more. And I think that's the reason why people like Allen, the guy who tried to kill Trump, I think that's the reason why they're doing this. Because they see CNN and MSNBC and all these organizations talking about how Trump's Hitler and how he's going to bring back, he's going to bring forth the American Reich or whatever. And they want to prevent that in their social justice thing. So they take the matters into their own hands. And I think that's the reason why a lot of these manifestos aren't made public. Because they're afraid of showing people that the media are the ones who are radicalizing people to do these types of things. If you push one viewpoint enough, if you push one agenda enough, you will radicalize people to take things into their own hands. And when they take things in their own hands, obviously good things won't follow. You only have more violence, more political violence, because this is all part of the machine. It's all part of the system. This is what the system wants. It wants us divided. Because if we're fighting each other, if we're killing each other, we're not focused on it. We have to be united. Right now, we're not. We're the divided states of America. We have not been this divided since the 1800s. It's sad, but this is reality. And the internet has been both a blessing and a curse. The internet has brought us together in some ways, but in other ways, like politics, it's only divided us even further. Because, unfortunately, individuals like Trump, they aren't exactly the most unifying individuals when it comes to forging alliances, I guess you could say. Healing the division in our country is going to take a lot more than just some strongly worded tweets from a politician in DC. This takes all of us together. We have to do better than this. Violence never is the answer. What happened to good old fashioned debates? What happened to good old fashioned arguments or whatever? Charlie Kirk used to do these types of things, and then he was murdered because of it. He was not afraid to debate people for their politics, and then someone shot him in the neck because they didn't agree with something he said. People are scared to speak out. People are scared to talk about what they view, what they want people to know what their viewpoint is, because they're afraid of the same thing happening to them. They don't want to get Charlie too, and that's not what Charlie would have wanted. He would want us to debate each other. He would want us to continue his legacy of being peaceful and being inclusive. Inclusive doesn't have to be a woke term. Inclusive can mean you include everybody. I have a brother who's autistic. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong at all with being disabled, with being a different skin color, with any of that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And we have to stop feeling like there is, because that's what they want. The deep state, the system, call it whatever you want. The people in charge, the really elite, not the people like Trump, not the people, in positions of power. The people who are controlling things beyond the shadows. Those people want division. America's a superpower. Whatever we decide basically gets decided around the entire world. Obviously, right now, nations are trying to break free from that. But for the good portion of the world, their policies are dictated by us. Pax Americana is still kind of us. We are the new Rome, basically. We are, the world is our Mediterranean, and we are the dominant superpower. China is Carthage, you could say. They have to be sorted out. Xi Jinping's little Hannibal over there. But, whatever happens with them, happens with them. We are Rome in so many ways. We are built after them. Our founding fathers were very inspired by them. We're a republic, just like Rome. And we have a Senate, just like Rome. There's so many comparisons you can make between us and the Roman Republican Empire. But I guess just what I'm trying to say is this is really anti-liberty. All these things are happening, especially the redistricting thing, because regardless of who redraws districts, this impacts the voters. It impacts democracy. It undermines representation, and it only benefits politicians in their power. It leaves voters like you and me left struggling in the dirt, right back to square one. We don't get any fair representation, so it's basically right back to no taxation without representation. Very thing behind the American Revolution. The very thing we're fighting for. Representation in Parliament. If our own politicians can't even represent us, what's the point of them being in power? What's the point of them representing us? You're a Democrat in name only. You're a Republican in name only. You are a representative in name only. You're a senator in name only. You don't represent the people. You represent yourself and your own selfish interests. And that needs to stop. This whole rhetoric needs to stop. Make America America again. Don't make it great again. Make it America again. And goth, too. Make America goth again. It's one of my favorite hats. And always, don't tread on me. Don't tread on us. Don't tread on the American people. Leave us people alone. Leave us citizens alone. Our guns alone. Leave our districts alone. Leave our people alone. Stop trying to entice us to kill each other. Stop trying to entice us to be violent towards each other, because violence is never the answer. We need to be more peaceful. We need to be more civil. We're a civilized society. And this is barbaric, what we are doing right now as a society. Well, it's not even 11 yet. But you know what? I'm gonna end early. I only been streaming 40 minutes, but I got the majority of what I wanted to say off my chest, so that's good. That's good. So I go live every Monday. Actually, I'm thinking I'm gonna remove Wednesday. The, my schedule's getting busier and busier. I recently just got a second job interview, so Wednesdays I don't think it's gonna work anymore. So I'll go live every Monday and Friday night at 11, but Monday will probably be 10. So let me rephrase this whole thing. I go live every Monday at 10 and every Friday at 11 Eastern Standard Time. But I'm mainly after X under the same handle, Zvalat. It's ZVALAT. If you enjoyed what you see, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It really helps a lot. Gets the podcast out there. Tells the YouTube overlords who is in charge around here, who is really contributing to the libertarian movement on YouTube. And remember, wheels up, stay free, become ungovernable, and I will see you guys next time.